Okay, so we're really fortunate. We have Peter Mehlman here, writer of Seinfeld, one of the original writers of Seinfeld, yeah?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, and what year was that?
1990, I wrote my first script, which was in the middle of the second season. The first season, there were only, like 4 episodes done. In the second season, there were 13. And during that season, I wrote the first kind of freelance script that they had produced on the show.
Okay, now, did you have an agent that got that script in? How did you get that script to them?
No, I had met Larry David in New York 1 or 2 times before I moved out here, and then I bumped into him on the street, and he just said, I'm doing this little show with Jerry Seinfeld, maybe you could write a script. And he had no idea that I had never written a script before.
So it was just from him talking to you? And
well, he said, he asked for a writing sample to pass on to Jerry, and I gave him an article that I'd written in the New York Times Magazine. And
what was the article?
The article, which is in my book, Mandela Was Late, is called Star Trekking. It was about a day that I had spent walking around New York, where it was after a breakup, and I spent the entire day walking around New York until I decided that I had to spot a celebrity before I could go home.
That's wild. Who'd you spot?
Edwin Newman, the newscaster.
And then how long did you have to walk around before you spotted someone?
I walked from about 10:30 till close to 5, and I was already actually giving up. I was on my way home. I had given up, and then I saw Edwin Newman, so I was freed up for a more significant sellout later.
So that's your sense of humor right there. You're miserable, broken up, and said, okay, I'm not going home until I see a celebrity. And that's where your mind went.
Yeah, it's not like I was miserable. I was just ungrounded in planning solo weekends. Like I had a weekend to myself and I had been spending all my weekends with my girlfriend, and I didn't know.
How long did you go out?
2 years. So
okay,
I didn't really know
time.
what to do with myself. So, I walked out, I spotted somebody who I thought was a celebrity, and I wasn't. And I was so good at celebrity spotting, me and my friends were so good at it that, I was annoyed. So I decided I had to spot one before I could go home. And that was just kind of a skeletal structure for, going off on tangents about life and love and whatever.
So, okay, that was one of my questions. I'll just go there. So, because of course, of all the Seinfeld writing and that's why we love it so much, is because it's just your regular guy and things we're all thinking about and just, and so you just write from life? That's what you do?
Well, I did write from life a lot. But I started off in journalism, so basically that's writing from someone else's life.
Yeah,
that's looking outward. Seinfeld kind of really got me thinking inward, and now I actually don't want to write about myself. Not that I'm, opposed to it or anything like that. I just want to make stuff up. I'm trying to, be more creative, rather than doing all this first-person stuff that everybody,
Yeah. Well, so when you say make stuff up, make characters up, make life, make a different alternate life,
make up, write fiction.
Just write fiction.
Really write fiction.
Okay, that goes to my next question. What did you want to be when you grew up? What was the first thing? Do you remember? Was there something you wanted to be?
I used to say I wanted to be a doctor, but, I'm not sure whether that was really me or, my mother. So I don't really remember particularly wanting to be anything.
Okay. How'd you got the job doing in journalism? You just started writing about other people, or did you go to school?
Well, I went to University of Maryland, and I wrote a lot for the student newspaper. And, it wasn't humorous stuff or anything like that. It wasn't even feature-y stuff. It was, real straight reporting, about student government and things like that.
And no point of view, yours.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. In fact, the opposite, trying desperately to not have any point of view.
And then you dove right into your point of view of everything.
Well, Seinfeld really was an opportunity to, yeah,
Yeah.
to get my point of view out.
I mean, come on, because you just said something in your story. I wrote it down because I was like, wow. He just watched as if he was a season ticket holder to his friends' lives. I mean, I was thinking about that, and then came the next line, which everybody laughed at, and that takes you, that's really something. You know, that line's really something.
That's what I live for.
It's
For, to have a reader say that line is really something.
Well, it really is. There's so many, you can't, and I almost want to go, you can't write that, but then you did. So you wrote that. It's a different way of seeing the world, and it's not just the ha-ha, it really makes you think, wow, that's a person who sits on the sidelines who's waiting to jump in but watches everyone else, Mm-hmm. And anyway, so what are you working on now?
I'm actually writing a novel. I've written one, and that is allegedly supposed to be published next fall. And I'm writing another one now that I actually started off as a screenplay. And, it made some significant progress for a while, like it was, optioned, and there was a director involved and everything like that. And then, of course, it all blew up like it always does. And so, I don't know, I just love the story so much that I decided to try to adapt it into a novel, and it's been really unbelievably fun to write. I mean, like 160 pages in like 3 months. I'm just burning through it.
And
loving it.
What? Okay, so you can't talk about it, right?
In the vaguest of terms, it's about a young girl from the South, a young, gorgeous girl who knows for a fact that in a previous life she was Freud. So she's constantly talking her friends off the ledge and things like that, and she doesn't really want to do that anymore, but she can't help herself.
Wow. It's wild when you say things just blow up. You're Peter Mehlman, okay? I mean, not just coining phrases here and there, but your writing is very, I'm not going to blow your head up or anything here, but it's breathtaking sometimes listening to you, because you think it is breathtaking. I don't mean as in, oh, what a beautiful video. I'm just thinking, gosh, how did he write that? How did he write this much in those words? I mean, that's the power of writing. That's really what, I get a lot of people that take this long to say this much, and it's, so it's very much.
Well, journalism is really a great place to start in writing. I mean, some reason I can't believe all these people who go to USC, film school, or UCLA film school, or NYU, and, they want to be screenwriters or something like that. And I just don't see where that's such a great training ground. You're much better off in journalism, where you have to actually pay attention to what other human beings are saying and make observations that are outside your own head. So, and of course, there's nothing like journalism, ideally, when it's done right, to make your writing really concise.
So if you were giving any young writers or older writers that are starting out in writing, you say go get a job as a journalist.
Or at least, read about it or study up on it a little bit. Just the whole minimal amount to tell a story is really great. And, the whole thing about journalism kind of, especially when you're writing for a newspaper, you're on a deadline. You have to get it done fast. You have to get all the facts out there, and you can't dilly-dally, repeating yourself or going into ridiculously unnecessary description or.
Yeah, it's really interesting because you start that. You're confined in this box of writing, and you have to get everything in. Then you move to Seinfeld, where you have time limits, and you have to cut, and you have to be very funny in a short amount of time, and you have a cut it, we need this, and you don't have any time, and now you're doing this novel, and the world's your oyster. It's like you have time now to, so no wonder.
It's almost dangerous.
Yeah.
The first novel was like 420 pages, and we basically cut it down to 350. And I think this one will only be like 220 or something like that, but it's just been so fun to write.
You know what's amazing? What's kind of neat to watch is that you're very smart, and yet, you write very smart. Let's say that, and yet.
My writing's smarter than I am.
Okay. Well, I guess that shows. Because there's people of all ages and intellectuals and idiots really enjoy your writing. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Which
Which
is good because I'm really targeting the idiots. I'm happy that the intellectuals.
The idiots spend, and the intellectuals sit back and decide. I don't need to do that. They dissect you, don't they?
Hey, it's America. You got to appeal to the idiots.
Isn't it a shame? Everything has to be dumbed down. It makes me crazy.
I'm making a joke, but I actually don't feel that way. You're right.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be dumbed down, and people are much smarter than they're given credit for. And if you've worked in network television, with any other experience other than kind of like the dreamlike situation of Seinfeld, they constantly want you to dumb it down, and it's just unnecessary. People are much smarter than they're given credit for, and then now they're really super informed.
Yeah, exactly. And they're Googling while you write, while they're listening. Does he say that? Is that really true? Let me find out. Is that on?
Yeah.
You're on Snoops or what's this? The website that says no, it's a lie. Whatever that website is.
I don't know. I don't even know that one.
Yeah, there's one that you say the minute you say, my car, the Tesla got me in 5 seconds flat. I was at 65 miles an hour. You go to Sloops or Slopes, I forget it is, and they go, no, it's wrong.
Maybe it's Snoops.
Snoops, maybe it is.
Okay.
Snoops. Well, anyway, I don't want to take up more of your time. I appreciate. I appreciate you taking the time. Is there anything that you can tell us about yourself that you don't usually tell people?
Wow, that's a loaded question.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Are you going out with people now? Do you have a girlfriend?
Yeah.
All right. Can you give us a challenge in your career? Sounds like you went right from journalism, and then you met, there all of a sudden Larry David, come on in.
Well, actually, there was a time between working for Howard Cosell and Seinfeld where I was a freelance magazine writer for like 5 years. I was just writing for magazines.
All different ones?
Yeah. A ton of different women's magazines.
Really?
Yeah, because, you could write from a male point of view, and they really liked that, and if you could be funny about it, which was, in a way, kind of good training for Seinfeld.
Oh, sure. Wow.
And, and I wrote for, GQ and the New York Times. And
what was it like working with Howard Cosell?
It was fantastic. It was like being in the middle of the sports universe, and he was, incredibly funny and so much fun to be around. Really the funniest boss I've ever had, and that includes Jerry.
Wow. What's your favorite sport?
Basketball.
And do you play?
Yes.
It's a good
I have so
workout.
much game, it's beyond belief. It's like scary. I don't even know what to do with it all.
So I'm glad you. Hey, you know what? I'm glad you brought some of it here. I would have had a basket here for you if I known. I would have interviewed you while. I'm not that bad myself. I'm better at ping pong. Do you? So thanks for. What made you do I Love a Good Story? Do you do these around town? I haven't ever seen you do these. Around town.
I'm trying to put my best foot forward to promote the book. I'm very fortunate that, with Seinfeld and everything, money is not like a big problem for me. But, somebody was nice enough to publish the book. And, I feel like I owe them my best effort. And, I got this offer to come to I Love a Good Story, and here I am.
You're so good. Thank you. I appreciate it. And what made you choose numerology? It was like easy?
The title?
No. The story
that.
You do here.
It's really weird. I did one other reading like about 3 or 4 months ago, and it was about one of the pieces. I was going to read one of these pieces in my book that was kind of a little showbiz related, a little TV related, and there were a few other readers before me, and I just started feeling like their stories were. Mine just was like another one like theirs a little bit, and I was just like, God, who cares about show business anyway? It's all such garbage. Why do I have to read about this? And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, like without really thinking about it, I said, what other story can I read? And I just read, and I just turned to that one, which I never even considered reading. And I read it, and it was like the first time I realized that I really liked this story. It was like it snuck up on me. I mean, I kind of liked it, but I never realized that, wow, this is really good, and this one I really like.
It was a wonderful story to hear. It was a wonderful story. Will you come back and do another story?
Sure, anytime.
And you heard it here.
I'm free tomorrow.
Okay, perfect. We'll come back. And
well, thank you so much,
Thank you so much.
Lori.
Thanks, Peter Mehlman. Thanks. This is I Love a Good Story. Signing off. Thank you so much.